Hello everyone, welcome to this Claude Code series. Here we are going to learn how to auto-validate and reject bad SQL data with Claude Code. This is continuation of previous video where we learned how to do schema inference using Claude Code. So here, as you can see, this is the file that we received from our previous video. That is the final DDL for raw orders. So if you note here in the previous folder, okay, so in this folder, if you see here, we have raw orders file and we gave this to the Claude Code in our previous video and we got final raw orders DDL file. So here you see, after we complete today's video, we'll be able to get a output folder, and in this folder we are going to get two separate files, that is clean orders and rejected rows, as two different files. So here, apart from this, we also will be getting a validate orders Python file in which the code related to validation of the columns will be written. So here, let's come back and see what we received in last video. So here we had the clean DDL for row orders, and here we got the correct data type for each and every column. So here, what we are going to do now is we are going through each and every row and deciding, does this data belong or does it get rejected? It means that we are going to finally filter which records we have to reject and which we have to keep. And if we have to go ahead manually, it's going to take longer. Hence, we'll go ahead with Claude Code. So here, let's first check what data we had. So if you remember, few of the columns was having null value for customer ID. Apart from that, we have seen that some of the values for the price and for quantity were incorrect. If you remember, this is the price column and it have string values. Apart from that, it has negative values as well. Apart from that, in quantity also we have a decimal value which is not possible. And also, if you note here in the date, that is order date column, we had incorrect data. That is, for example, you have seen here the month was 13, which is not possible. Apart from that, if you note the date format, the date format is YYMMDD. However, for one column, it was DDMMYY. That is this one, which is incorrect, right? Apart from that, if you note here, some of the statuses are mentioned in caps, whereas others are in small lower cases. So these all things we need to filter here. So now we have to give Claude Code the prompt such that Claude Code is able to give us two different files, that is one for the clean and one for the incorrect data in two different files. So here, let's first see what is the prompt that we are going to give to the Claude Code. So here is the prompt that we are going to give. So here we are going to ask Claude Code to read the raw order files and validate every row in the raw order table. And then what we have to do, it has to find all the records which are not following these rules. So first rule says is required field. It means that we need to find those records which are actually following this required constraint. And apart from that, it has data type rules as well, where every column mentioned here has to follow this data type rule. That is, for example, order ID has to have a positive number, customer ID has to have a positive integer along with quantity as well, and for price it has to be in decimal number. And now here you see we have some format rules as well. So these rules says that the order date must be valid date in YYYMMDD format and not in any other format. Apart from that, the email has to have an @ along with domain. The country must be 2-character uppercase string and status must be of these values only, that is pending, shipped, completed and cancelled, again in lowercase only. So these are the rules. Apart from that, we have some size rules as well. So after this validation, what we are asking Claude Code is to output two files in the output folder, where first file will have valid rows only and the second will have rejected rows with the rejected reason. Apart from that, we are also asking Claude Code to summarize in terminal the total rows, how many are passed, how many are rejected, and total rejection reasons. And then we are asking to write a validation in the validation file, that is validate orders Python file, and do not print this validation in the PowerShell. So now let's first copy this prompt and let's come back to our PowerShell. So here, as you know, my project folder here is SQL cleaning demo. Let's come back here and let's only give a command Claude. So let's say if you don't have Claude command installed, then you can just go ahead and check the description of this video to install in just one line. So here you can see my project folder is SQL cleaning demo. I have already copied the prompt. Let's paste here. So once I run it, it may take 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah. So meanwhile, let me delete these extra folders and this Claude Code is going to generate these files again. Yeah. So here you can see we have a new folder called output created on the right hand side. Okay. So Claude Code is done with the processing. So here you can see, we can see a summary of the issues that were faced. So here you can see 16 rows rejected. So it has mentioned reasons for all the rows, why it has rejected these rows. Apart from that, you can see that the files that are created here, you can see the validate.orders Python file. And in the output folder, it has created two files, cleaned orders and rejected rows. So let's see how many are successful. So you can see 17 valid rows here. Out of 33, 17 passed and 16 were rejected. So now here, let's open these two files in SQL Server and see the data inside. Okay, so here as you can see, rejected rows is a CSV file where it has rejected few of the records because of missing data. So here you can see record number 2. It is missing customer ID, whereas and you can see the error message also, which is written on the extreme right. And row number 15, you can see it has many missing data. And row number 13, if you see, you can see here there is a string value in the order ID, which should be ideally integer value. So this way, here you can see many of the orders has been rejected because of the reason mentioned in the last field. Similarly, let's come back to cleaned orders. So here you can see that there are many records which have passed because they have data for all the mandatory columns. Apart from that, if you see here, there is something which we need to note is, let's talk about here row number 18, this one, and row number 20, this one is actually duplicate record. Can you see here, this one and this one is duplicate record. So duplicate records are not rejected. It means that we still have to do some processing and some cleaning which is pending, which needs to be done to remove the duplicate records. So here, this thing which needs to be handled is called deduplication, and which will be done in the next video. So for this video, we have got the inserts for the clean data. So as you can see, we have already got the insert for clean data. We have also the DDL command for order clean table. So here it means that we can easily create this table and easily insert the records as well. So let's start So here you can see we already have a database created called demo ETL Claude, but we are pointing to master. Hence, let's run this command to point to this new database. Yes, here you can see we are pointing to the new database. So now, before that, we need to actually create the customers table. The reason being we have foreign key here, that is customer ID is foreign key for the customers table. So here we need to go back to the raw orders file and run this create statement. So here again we are pointing to master. So let's use the new database that we have created. Let's execute this. So again we are pointing to this one. Let's run this. So here, because it is SQL Server, this may not be working, hence we'll just simply run the create table statement. Yes, we have created. Let's open this one. Let's refresh. Okay, so here you can see we have customers table created. Now let's insert the data that we have for the customer table. Kindly note all the data here is valid data. So let's insert, let's refresh this one again. Okay. So now let's try to insert the data in this new table. So here again, I'm pointing to the new database that we have created, and I just changed the name of the table here to raw orders clean, which is the newly created table. Let's see if it's working. Let's try to insert the data here. Let's run. Okay. It seems it's working. Let's check how many records are inserted. So here you can see 15 rows are inserted. Can you see here? Yes, 15 rows are inserted here. And here we can also see the duplicate records. So here row number 12 and row number 14 are duplicate records, and apart from that row number 13 and row number 15 is also the duplicate records. So this deduplication has to be handled again, which we will be doing in the next video. So I hope you liked all the topics that we have discussed so far. Do continue watching other videos as well, and also connect with me over WhatsApp and email for my AI related courses. Thank you very much. Goodbye.